think this is a good time to talk about things like nerves.
Yeah.
Right? How would you recommend practicing to, like, look, for any performance, I mean, even now, today, I've never been like a super nervy person, but I still either get amped up, which can be dangerous, just take off, or, you know, you have a little bit of that fear, and especially going into a new environment. So do you recommend practicing auditioning? Like, what types of activities would you suggest to prepare mentally for an audition? And how would you recommend controlling nerves at an audition?
Yeah, I used to shake really badly. I used to have to have somebody around to make sure I didn't drop my clarinet or swing the bassoon too far, you know. So the best way and the only way is to keep putting yourself in that situation. Play in front of as many people as you can, as often as you can, you know. Again, this time of year, solo and ensemble is great because you're in a similar situation. You're in front of an adjudicator, you have a fan base with you. You know, play at family events, ask your neighbors if you can play on their porch, you know, like any different situation that puts you out of that comfort zone. Because over the years, it's a muscle memory, just like our playing is, you know, and so we get used to being able to be in the spotlight in that moment. And then finding some sort of routine. I like to do a little bit of a breathing routine before I take the stage or before I perform, and just a couple of deep breaths. Sometimes I'll just breathe through the opening rhythm of the piece, and it just kind of calms down and puts my mind and body at that ready position. And then when I'm out to play, I can just focus on that performance.
I think that's a fairly common practice. I do the same before I try to do the same before I play anything without missing a downbeat. If I'm playing in an ensemble, but just kind of close my eyes and visualize it, both in my ear and seeing the music and hearing that first 2 or 3 measures. Yeah. For me, mostly because I tend to get amped, it'll keep me from diving in too fast. Yeah. Right.
And for me in the morning, even after my coffee or breakfast, you know, whether it's conducting or playing, I'm going to go through it mentally, note for note. Not necessarily playing if it's a playing audition, right? But definitely hearing it and seeing it, and that sense of, because your brain has already done it then, right? And your body's not going to do what your brain hasn't already done. And so if I can go through it once in the morning and then go play it for real, I've worked out all those kinks, and then I'm more comfortable and at ease when I play.
So let's say it was a bad day to have a bad day, and we punted an audition. And we know it as soon as we finished.
Yep.
What suggestions do you have for that situation?
I think a couple of ways. Immediately after, we always know or think we know, right? Don't assume too quickly, right? And try not to be apologetic in that moment. Be confident of what you presented, and then this is the second half of being yourself. You know, the panel is usually going to speak to you afterwards, so just be confident in your presentation. You know, continue to ask questions and answer questions in a professional manner. And sometimes they're going to get up and work with you in that moment. So don't freak out one way or another, right? Because part of that audition process too is, we know you tanked it, right? But can you work with us? If I make some suggestions in a rehearsal, you know, when you're here, are you going to be able to work with us in that manner? And sometimes we try to offset the nerves in that way as a panel. And then once you leave the stage, you know, you can decompress however we all do. And then when you get a call and you may not have made that ensemble, you know, a few things are going to happen. You may have not made the top ensemble, and so they're going to recommend a low ensemble and or probationary period. You might not have been accepted to that school outright. And so you have a couple of options at that point. I always encourage students to ask back, what can I have improved on? What are you looking for? You're likely to get some feedback that way. Then you can audition again in the next semester. And in the meantime, look at another institution, look at community college. There are other avenues out, or this is why it's also important to visit multiple institutions. Find a good fit. Find the ones that are taking your instrument and have room in the ensembles, right? Different instruments are going to have different needs in places, and so the competition can be a little higher. Sometimes it's not that you had a bad audition, you just didn't make that cut, you know? And so there's a lot to it. So it's don't take it personally, have a backup plan, and always ask what you can improve on so that you know how to hone it for the next audition.
Good advice. So, if you're entering into audition season, or you have a student in your household who's entering into audition season, definitely let them play for you, and you play for other people in your household. I hope that some of these tips are helpful, and we're always here for you at Central Music. So if you have questions about the auditioning process or your preparation, or just want to come in and play for us, we're here for it. If you like the content, as always, like and subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. It really does help us out. And we'll be back.
Yes.
We don't really know where Joshua is today, but he did say something about Sasquatch hunting, so.
He might be getting close.